Donald Newhouse is one of the most powerful and influential figures in modern media, yet his name remains largely unknown to the public. He is not a charismatic television personality or a flamboyant tech founder seeking the spotlight. Instead, he is a quiet, deliberate businessman, a master of strategy, who operated from behind the curtain. He, along with his late brother Cy, inherited a newspaper empire and transformed it into a global media conglomerate. His importance lies not in public pronouncements, but in the quiet, calculated decisions that have shaped what millions of people read, watch, and consume for more than half a century. His story is a powerful lesson in building enduring wealth through patience, diversification, and a relentless focus on long-term value. This will explore the remarkable journey of Donald Newhouse and the media empire he helped build. We will delve into his early life, tracing his beginnings within a family already steeped in the newspaper business. We will follow the deliberate steps of his career progression. Donald Newhouse was not born into obscurity. He was born into the newspaper business. His father, Samuel S.I. Newhouse Sr., was a self-made magnate who began his empire with the purchase of the Staten Island Advance in the 1920s. From this single local paper, S.I. painstakingly built a chain of newspapers across the country, developing a reputation for shrewd acquisitions and frugal operations. Donald and his older brother, Samuel Cy Newhouse Jr., grew up immersed in this world. Dinner table conversations were likely filled with talk of circulation numbers, advertising revenues, operational details of running a print publication. This early exposure provided an unparalleled real-world education in the mechanics of the media industry from the ground up. Unlike many heirs who might have pursued different passions, Donald embraced his family's legacy. After completing his education, he joined the family business, choosing diligent work rather than entitled leisure. He did not parachute into a top executive role. He started at the bottom, learning the business hands-on. He worked in various capacities, learning the press room, newsroom, advertising department, distribution, logistics. This on-the-ground training was the foundation for his later strategic decisions. He learned the value of a dollar and operational efficiency from his cost-conscious father. The division of labor between the two brothers became a hallmark of their success. Cy took the glamorous creative side, magazines and fashion. Donald handled the operational and financial heart. He focused on newspapers, broadcasting assets, and complex deal-making. He was the numbers man and strategist, keeping the financial engine running smoothly. That complementary partnership guided Advance Publications for decades. This slow, steady start shaped Donald as a leader. He avoided public attention, focusing inward on business health and growth. He evaluated acquisitions on financial fundamentals and strategic fit. He mastered running a tight ship as the company grew into a diversified media behemoth. The lessons of frugality, operational excellence, and long-term perspective learned from his father became his guiding principles. Donald Newhouse's career progression was a model of patient, methodical ascent. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, he remained deeply involved in the newspaper side of the family business. He wasn't seeking headlines for himself. He was focused on strengthening the headlines of the papers he managed. As he rose through the ranks of Advance Publications, he became the primary force behind the company's newspaper and broadcasting divisions. He assumed responsibility for their day-to-day operations and their long-term financial health. His leadership style was characterized by a deep understanding of local markets, a commitment to providing his publishers and editors with resources, and strict financial discipline. His role became increasingly strategic as the company matured. Donald was the architect of many key acquisitions and of operational decisions that fortified the company's foundation. While his brother Cy polished prestigious magazines, Donald managed the cash-generating core, newspapers, and TV stations. He understood steady, reliable profits were the financial engine that powered more ambitious forays into other media sectors. He maximized profitability without sacrificing quality. A pivotal aspect was his focus on deal-making and strategic expansion. He became a key leader and eventually co-president of Advance Publications. His quiet demeanor belied a sharp, decisive mind. He oversaw purchases of additional newspapers and television stations, always seeking undervalued assets in promising markets. He was known for thorough due diligence and negotiating favorable terms. He avoided hostile takeovers. He preferred friendly acquisitions, retained management built on local expertise, and foster stability. Under his watchful eye, Advance evolved from a newspaper chain into a diversified, resilient media organization. He wasn't resistant to change, but approached it with caution and calculation. He watched the rise of cable television and later the internet. His decisions were guided by deep analysis of long-term trends and potential returns on investment. This steady, non-reactionary approach allowed methodical growth, building a diversified portfolio that could withstand sector downturns. The true genius of the Newhouse brothers' strategy, their early and aggressive push for diversification with Donald as a key architect. They recognized that relying solely on newspapers, the foundation of their father's empire, was a risky, long-term proposition. The world was changing. New forms of media were capturing attention and advertising dollars. This foresight prompted a major strategic shift, using newspaper cash flow to buy higher-growth media assets. Not a retreat from print, but a strategic expansion to insulate against disruption. A corporate-scale balanced portfolio. First major move: glossy magazines. Acquisition of Condé Nast in 1959, spearheaded by Sy, backed by the family. This brought Vogue glamour. The New Yorker. C cultivated creative prestige. Donald kept the finances solid. This move into magazines was just the beginning. A pattern. Find high-quality adjacent brands, bring them into the fold. Next frontier: cable television. They saw subscription growth and invested heavily in cable systems. They built and bought providers, eventually consolidating into Bright House networks. Cable provided a steady, recurring revenue stream far less susceptible to the cyclical nature of advertising-dependent businesses like newspapers and magazines. It was a capital-intensive business, but it generated enormous, predictable cash flow for decades, which could then be reinvested into other parts of the empire or used to acquire new assets. This diversification into cable was a cornerstone of their financial success. As the digital age dawned, the strategy evolved once again. Advance Publications did not ignore the internet. It invested in it. The company acquired a significant stake in Discovery Communications, a major player in cable and later streaming. They built digital presences for local newspaper websites and for Condé Nast's online portals. They also invested in digital native businesses, including Reddit. The core idea remained consistent: spread the risk and capture growth wherever it might be found. A multi-legged stool: print, cable, digital media. The modern portfolio of businesses linked to Donald Newhouse is a testament to long-term diversification. Advance Publications is the centerpiece, a private holding company, the umbrella for a vast collection of media assets. This single entity controls some of the world's most recognizable brands. Its holdings can be broadly categorized into magazine publishing, local media, and significant equity stakes in other major media and technology companies. This structure preserves cultural influence and provides financial stability across economic cycles. The most glamorous and publicly visible part of the empire is Condé Nast. Vogue, The New Yorker, GQ, Vanity Fair, Wired, Architectural Digest. For decades, these publications have led fashion, journalism, and design. The print magazine industry has faced immense challenges, but Advance has invested in transforming them into multi-platform digital brands with global reach. Condé Nast exemplifies acquiring prestigious assets and stewarding them through industry change, focusing on brand equity over short-term profit. Despite the national and global brands, Advance has maintained a strong local media presence, the family's original foundation. The Plain Dealer in Cleveland, the Oregonian in Portland, the Star Ledger in New Jersey. Local papers have been particularly hard hit by digital disruption. Private ownership allowed Advance to manage the transition more patiently and experiment with new digital models. Beyond the properties they operate, the Newhouse family has taken significant ownership stakes in other companies. For years, they were the largest shareholder in Discovery Communications, now Warner Brothers Discovery. That investment delivered massive returns and broadened their exposure to broadcast and streaming media. More recently, they became the largest shareholder in Reddit. That move shows a shift from legacy media to high-growth digital platforms, ensuring Newhouse influence extends into the next generation of media consumption. Advance Publications remains a privately held company, a deliberate choice that has allowed its leadership to make decisions free from the quarterly pressures of Wall Street analysts and public shareholders. This private structure enabled them to weather economic storms, to invest in struggling but prestigious brands, and to play a long game that public companies often cannot afford. Understanding Newhouse means understanding the immense strategic advantage that this privacy has afforded him and the media properties under his stewardship. Ultimately, Donald Newhouse's story is not just about accumulating a massive fortune, it is about the stewardship of cultural institutions and the calculated navigation of an industry in constant flux. He demonstrated how a steady hand and a clear, long-term vision could create stability and growth even as the ground shifted beneath his feet. His career offers a counter-narrative to the myth of the disruptive, fast-moving entrepreneur. It proves that immense success can be built slowly, quietly, and methodically. The lessons from his life are not about quick wins or market timing, but about the enduring power of patience, reinvestment, and the quiet confidence to stay the course, even when the world is noisy. Donald Newhouse's financial success is staggering, placing him among the wealthiest people in the world. His net worth is estimated in the tens of billions of dollars, not from a single tech IPO. Instead, it came from a slow, patient, deliberate accumulation over 60-plus years. The primary source is his family's stake in privately held Advance Publications. Keeping the company private avoided public market scrutiny and pressure for ever-increasing quarterly profits. That freedom was the cornerstone of their strategy. Core principle: relentless reinvestment of profits. Use cash from stable, mature businesses to acquire and build assets in new growth areas. Early profits from local newspapers funded. Buy Condé Nast, build a cable empire. In turn, cable cash from Bright House networks paid down debt-funded digital ventures and bought stakes in companies like Discovery. This made a virtuous cycle, each part financing the next. Donald Newhouse was conservative and disciplined with money. They avoided excessive debt, preferred cash-funded acquisitions when possible. When they took debt, it was for predictable, revenue-generating assets. They were tough negotiators, would walk away if the price wasn't right. They didn't chase trends or overpay in bubbles. That prudence protected them in downturns and kept dry powder to buy when others sold. The 2016 sale of Bright House to Charter for over $10 billion in cash and stock was a crowning achievement. It capped decades of cable investment and gave a massive infusion of liquid capital. They largely rolled into a big stake in the new company and redeployed proceeds into digital media, like Reddit. Donald Newhouse's legacy is that of a master builder who constructed one of the world's great media fortunes in relative silence. He demonstrated that enduring success in a volatile industry does not require a cult of personality or a relentless pursuit of the spotlight. His impact is measured in the resilience of the institutions he stewarded and the immense value he created over a lifetime of disciplined work. He helped preserve and modernize iconic cultural brands. The New Yorker supported local journalism even as the business model faced existential threats. He proved that a private, family-owned company could compete and win against massive public corporations by playing a different, longer game. The first and most powerful lesson from his story is the profound advantage of long-term thinking. Donald Newhouse did not build his fortune in a year or even a decade, he built it over a lifetime. He made investments in cable magazines that took decades to fully mature. This patience is a stark contrast to the short-term, quarterly focus that dominates much of the corporate world. Donald Newhouse may have been a quiet billionaire, but the lessons from his career in steady, strategic building resonate loudly. For individuals, the takeaway is clear. True wealth is most often built not through speculative gambles, but through consistent, patient investment over long periods. The power of compounding, whether in a stock portfolio or a business, is a force that rewards those who can wait. A second key takeaway is the critical importance of diversification. The Newhouse empire survived the decline of print advertising because it had already built strongholds in cable television. As cable faces its own challenges from streaming, the company has already pivoted to invest heavily in digital platforms like Reddit. This strategy of spreading investments across different, non-correlated sectors is a fundamental principle of risk management. For an individual investor, this means not putting all your money into a single stock or asset class. A balanced portfolio of stocks, bonds, other assets can protect you from the inevitable downturns in any one area. Finally, the Newhouse story champions the power of reinvesting profits.